Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm going to be starting the new series of helicopter flight tutorials today. This is going to be a series of flights, or a series of episodes rather, covering everything from the basic controls, how you actually use the controls, manipulate the aircraft, maneuver the aircraft, and everything up to advanced things like some of the startup procedures, shutdown procedures, navigation, the rules of flight. So, eventually we will cover everything in the whole spectrum, but this is going to be the introductory episode, and it's going to be sort of a test. So basically we're just going to be covering what the basic controls are, how you use them, and what they actually do as far as maneuvering the aircraft. So the most simple thing we'll point out here is with a helicopter you have basically two sets of control surfaces. You have the main rotor, which consists of anything from 2 blades to 4 blades. Some models are 3 blades, some are 6, 8 even. And then you have the tail rotor. Same thing, anywhere from 2, 4. I don't think I've ever seen anything besides 2 or 4, but, I could be wrong. So those are your only two sets of control surfaces. And so with those two, you can basically maneuver the aircraft in any direction. So let's go ahead and come around here and get inside, and we'll actually take a look at the controls themselves. And as far as the controllers themselves, you have 3 basic controllers in a helicopter. So you have the cyclic, which is here, and that is your directional control. You have the collective, which is here, and that, as the name suggests, collectively changes the pitch of all the blades at the same time, and so that's how you generate lift. And also on the collective controller you have your throttle, which is here, and then for axial control or rotation in this direction in the floor you have the anti-torque pedals, and that actually controls the pitch of the blades on the tail rotor, which does 2 things. Number 1, that counteracts the natural tendency of the helicopter to want to spin in the opposite direction that the rotor is going. And also that is how you gain axial control, so you can actually rotate the helicopter on its own axis. So that's handy for several maneuvers, including changing your direction. Also, if you're doing a bank turn in the air at a lower speed or even at a higher speed, you'll use that in combination with your cyclic control, so that you actually stay on the intended flight path. So let's go ahead and bring the throttle up, and we'll actually do some flying here. Now I would say the most common mistake that I see people making is they assume that just by bringing up the collective here, that the helicopter is going to lift straight up, perfectly level, and it's not going to go any direction until you actually manipulate the cyclic. But that's not the case, as I show you, is if we only use collective, the helicopter is in fact going to lift, but it's going to want to drift to the forward, slightly right direction. So let's do that. We're only using collective here. And there you go. So now, knowing that, what you can do is you can add a little bit of left pedal, which is here, and you're going to use a little bit of aft cyclic as you're bringing in the collective. And as you lift off, you'll notice that the nose is going to rise a little bit, and then you just adjust so that the helicopter continues to rise in a level fashion. So you keep bringing in your collective, but you're also going to be wanting to manipulate with your anti-torque pedals and your cyclic control to keep the helicopter level. So you'll see that as we lift off here in just a second. Let's see, I guess I'll stay focused on the controls, that way you can see what's going on. And I would point out first too, if things are moving too fast or too slow, like I said, this is just the first introductory episode, So as things progress in the other episodes, I will be going much more in depth into each individual area. So if you miss something, don't worry about it really, because we'll probably cover it several times over as the other episodes are produced. And now we're going to go a little bit forward cyclic to transition into forward flight. And as you're going to notice, pretty quickly you're going to get a bump in lift. And that's going to be your transitional lift, which we'll explain that later. But once you do get that, then you can either use that to gain more speed, or you can actually bring the nose up and lower the collective, and which reduces the power. And so it does seem overwhelming, but you do have to constantly be using all three of your controls to keep the helicopter straight and level. But once you get used to it, it'll be second nature. So don't get too overwhelmed at first. Now, once you are in forward flight, if you want to slow down, it's a matter of simply you raise the nose, which, as within a fixed-wing aircraft, you can trade speed for altitude. Then you can lower the nose, bring the collective back up a little bit. There we go. Slowly let it come back to a slow speed, and now we're going to go back to a hover here. Now we've got a little bit of wind at this layer, but it's okay. Now, as you can see with the pedal, that's what I was talking about, your axial control. So that's what you can also use the pedals for, is to give you this directional control. Let's see if we can go find a field here somewhere. We'll do a quick landing. Get down out of this layer of wind. And as you may notice, a lot of the control inputs are very subtle, so you don't want to overdo it. You don't want to really fight the helicopter. This is a good place we can put down. Try to put it down between these trees here in front of the White House. I guess it's a house there. Notice the little tree there. But we're far enough away from it, so probably don't want to be that close, but I don't think it's going to matter for this one. Alright guys, of course that was a pretty rough tutorial. Like I say, you're just going to have to forgive the fact that this is the first one I've done, so like I say, once I get a little used to the trying to record, narrate, fly, control everything all at the same time, I'm sure it'll smooth out. Hopefully these will give you an understanding of the basic controls, what they do, how you use them, and as I said, we will go into more specific and in-depth things as the series progresses. So this is just the pilot episode, no pun intended, just to test the series out to see how the recording is going to go. And once I have that all figured out, then the flying will get smoother and everything will go a little better once I get the hang of it. So I hope you enjoyed that. Until next time, I will see you guys later, and thanks for watching.